Hope all of you are doing great along with your friends and families during this challenging time. And thanks so much to Product School to provide me this opportunity to speak about prioritization, which is among one of my favorite topics. So basically, how do we plan, check, act? So we do the things that create the most customer value first. So at the end of the session, I would like all of us to take these key things. How do we prioritize products to determine what should we build next? And once we decide that, then how do we prioritize the work within the same product to effectively execute the entire development phase? Also, how do we prioritize and plan the product roadmap effectively so that we can define the success criteria, monitor them regularly so that we can flag issues and act to course correct and at the right time, right? And we need to repeat these because all of us are working on a multiple products at any given point in time, so that we add more and more values to customers, solve their problems on a more frequent basis, and add a lot of business values to the company, right? Before we move ahead, let me introduce myself. So I'm Prabhat. I'm almost having 11 years of experience into multiple technical domains. Started as a software developer, then moved into project and program management, then into product management with Amazon for almost 4 years now. So first 3 years I was with Amazon Singapore, then moved to Luxembourg about a year ago, working with EU retail expansions team, where we are planning to launch multiple other marketplaces than the ones we already have in Europe to give our customers best in class selection, delivery experience, uh, and whatnot. I mean, whatever we do, like selection, pricing, delivery experience, payment methods, so that we can have multiple other marketplaces live along with the existing ones. Let's move ahead. So all of us, when we are into a product team, we always have these questions in mind. Like this is our life. So what gets done first? How do we decide what features or experiences stay? What gets out or postponed? Should I listen to customers first or our leadership? How does the product team gets consensus, or even do we need to get consensus sometimes? How do we define success criteria? What's the team setup? I mean, these questions always keep coming into our minds, and we keep discussing, keep having brainstorming sessions so that we can decide about the best of the best products that we can give to the customers, solve their pain points as much as possible, because we cannot solve all pain points at any given point in time. And how do we prioritize which ones to solve first? Then how do we create the hypothesis? How do we define the measures to take? How do we decide about KPIs? How do we solve conflicts within the team? How do we define the parameters to check during A/B testings? Then once those are done, then go no go decisions and discussions with the leadership, and then finally we launch the product. So from deciding what to do until the launch, there are a lot of phases in between that we always deal with on a regular basis. So the life is not easy, but it's fun, right? So with this, let's start what I basically mean by prioritization. And based on my experience so far, I always feel it's one of the most important skills that the product team should have. It's a puzzle, right? I mean, you have multiple pieces which are lying here and there, and as a product team, you need to put them together so that you solve all the problems or the defined problems in the best possible manner. So what I've also find that the best teams are the ones where everyone is maniacally prioritizing towards the same goal and doing so in a way that's consistent with each other. So consistency and everyone working together are the keywords, and we should always focus on those. So the main framework that we think about prioritization is basically twofold. One, we have multiple ideas, we have multiple intakes from multiple teams if you are working in a central team basically, and then how do you basically decide which one to take ahead, having all the constraint on cost, effort, time that we have. So basically, how do we prioritize between products? This is about determining what product the team should do next, product or products. Then once you decide that, okay, let me go ahead with 2 products out of 10 that we had thought initially, now then in these 2 products, how do we prioritize work? How do we define the roadmap? How efficiently we can develop or execute the product development phases? So these two are the intermediate steps, or you can say that these two are the major ones that we talk about when we think anything in terms of prioritization. So let's start with prioritizing products, right? I mean, this is the core, and maybe this is the start of anything. So we have multiple ideas, multiple intakes, multiple jobs to be done. We have done a lot of research. We have a lot of research ideas from the customers. We have a lot of data from which we know what customers are feeling as of today about our existing products or the products that we may launch. So we have jobs to be done in a laundry list. Just assume we have 10. We have objectives and key results that we are looking at for all of these, right? And then we see how all of these can tie to the business goals that we have, and finally to the vision of the company. Once we have it, then all of us know there are multiple models or frameworks nowadays, like Kano model, the Moscow, RISE, and whatnot. But at Amazon, specifically, I talk about, we do factor multiple other things as well, like what are the customer pain points, what the values customers will get, the entitlement. When I say entitlement, I mean, we of course need to talk about business as well. So if we launch this product, how much business value it will bring to the company in, say, next 3 years or 5 years. We always think about short term as well as long term. Then the effort and cost to implement those products. If we do not do that product, how much opportunity cost we are losing, then what will be the time to market if we plan to launch this product. And dependencies, like we are working on a multi teams, and you can say that multiple teams across geographies. So what kind of dependencies we may have on them. So their output might be our input. Sometimes our output become their inputs. So how do we plan those roadmap, and how do we plan those intricacies? And then team compositions. So if we decide about a product A to work for, out of say 100 SDE weeks of effort, we may have 50 SDE weeks of effort as a home team that my home team, home SDE engineers will be working upon, and we may need support from other different teams so that they will work for us, or they will basically implement changes that we need from their modules. Sometimes they do not have effort, or sometimes they do not have headcount. So we take those work as away team model, where we fund some resources in our team, and that team basically, those team members basically go to their code base and changes the way that we require, so that it does not break their code as well as it solves our purpose. And as I told you, I mean expansion. So we always check about country dynamics, multiple factors. So we have a lot of subscription to Euromonitor or Forrester or these kind of websites, or these kind of agencies, to get whatever inputs or core inputs that we need from them. In Amazon, usually we do not obsess competition. So we are always customer obsessed, but we should be competition aware. What competition is doing. If we are thinking about product A, if a competition has that kind of product or similar product in the market, what kind of customer experience that they are giving to the existing customers. So those kind of awareness we should have. We should do some kind of benchmarking, and once we do that, we give the score to all the products that we are thinking to work upon, that you can see on the right side of the graph, the effort and impact. So as I told you, it's just not about effort and impact. So I have given values in the circles that you can see. The top right, which we always call it in Amazon as think big projects. Like you can see, one of the example is drone delivery. Of course, 112 is just a fancy number that I have given. But the top right quadrant, is the ones that we take it as a big bets, as think big projects, which takes more time, but it will have a huge impact going forward. The bottom right quadrant, the quadrant 3, that effort is also very, very high, impact is very, very low. Of course, those projects and those products are discarded immediately. Then we have the first quadrant, which are kind of quick wins, where we know that impact will be high, the effort will be slightly less or lower as compared to the big bets that we're talking about. Those products are prioritized first. And the second quadrant, the fillers that we call it, like you have less impact but very, very less effort to make, and you can launch or you can enhance some existing functionalities by putting very, very less effort. So these are called fillers, where if my software team is waiting for something, or I have, say, a couple of engineers free for 2 months, so we give those fillers to them so that they can enhance existing customer experience, and this can be done very, very quickly. So these are some of the parameters. So all of these parameters might not work for you. I mean, the subset of these will work depending upon which product area you work upon, depending upon what type of products you lead, or what type of ideas you have, so that you can solve multiple customer problems going forward. Apart from these, there are some products which are kind of must do. You do not need to prioritize them because they're already prioritized. products specifically related to compliances. So I'll give you an example. In Europe, recently in April itself, EU came up with a regulation so that all the prices that we have at checkout should have a specific line items. So if you're converting some prices from say euro to GBP or vice versa, you need to basically give each line item which will show how much you are charging, how much is the conversion fee. It's called something like unloaded rate. So these are compliances products where you know that you need to spend a lot of effort. Impact is kind of better visibility to the customer. It's kind of giving them enough visibility what they are paying, how they are paying. But effort is more, impact is okay, but you need to do it. So all this framework that I was talking about is for the products where you need to prioritize. Must do's are anyway in priority list. So and they have a specific timeline, because if I talk about this EU regulations, it went live from 19th of April this year. So if we come across about this ruling, say 3 months in advance, we have to stop most of the things so that we can do this first. If not, we will not be able to do the business. So those products are prioritized. Then if you have 3 or 4 lists where you can fill in and you have multiple other ideas, then you need to follow these kind of framework and take any of these input parameters as I have listed here. It might be a subset of this to you. You might have multiple others, but in my experience so far, I guess this could be good enough to start with. So if I can try to summarize, you have a lot of requests, you have a lot of interviews data from customers, you have a lot of research that you have done, you have collected the ideas, you have created your impact scorecard, you do your impact effort analysis, and then you come up with the final list of products that you need to work upon, and then you create the product roadmap so that you can utilize this to work with multiple teams that you are working upon with, and to communicate this to all the stakeholders which are involved, right? So if I try to again summarize this, so prioritizing between products is a puzzle, and we approach it through working backwards from customer problems. You might have heard about this buzzword from Amazon, like we always think about customer problem first and then work backwards. We always apply a rigorous process to find all the pieces, and the answer is in how all will fit together, right? And once all of these fit together, you have a beautiful product to launch and solve customer problems. So let's assume that now you had 10 ideas, 10 customer pain points to solve. 2 were must have, like regulations and compliances products. You have space, or you have effort, estimate, kind of headcount that can solve only 5 problems. So 2 are must have. Out of the 10, you need to do 3, but you come up with 5, right? Then what we do specifically is 3 anyway will get approved because you have headcount approvals for those, and that has good impact on solving other customer problems, and which tied up with your vision and company objectives. Then we try to go to our leadership with the ask of funding. So if we strongly feel that we must do, say, a couple of more products, we do not have headcount, but the value will be immense. We go to the leadership asking that, okay, so these are the intricacies, these are the effort we need. Maybe say we need 6 headcounts for 1 year. If we do that, this is the value. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we do not. So this is called kind of operations planning in Amazon. Like we have, say, OP1 that we call it, that happens around June to September. If something falls below the line, means if you do not get the funding, you still have about 2 to 3 months to prioritize, reprioritize some of the products that you have already thought about, and again go back to the leadership. And if you again give the same proposal, you might get a chance, or you might get a funding around, say, December, January, to work upon a couple of more. Let's assume that you have now got the funding, you have prioritized the products. Now what? So now you have already communicated, you have got the funding, you have got the approvals. Then you need to basically start working towards developing the product, right? So far we discussed how do we prioritize the products if you have multiple ideas and do not have space to have all. Now you have your product that has to be developed, is approved, you have the funding, you have the resources in hand. Then how do we basically prioritize work within the product, right? uh, we have heard about ruthless mindset of prioritization, we have heard about whatnot. All of us know it's chaotic, it's ambiguous. What I have believed and I have experienced, leave about ruthless mindset, but if you will not have collaborative mindset, it's extremely difficult to work on a product where you have multiple teams in the picture. all of the teams may not have the same goal to you, though they will owe some part of your product, some part of the features that they need to give you as the output from their side, as an input to you. But they're not obliged always. They might not feel that they will give priority to your products first because they already have multiple things to do, right? So though you should have a ruthless style of working, ruthless prioritization, but you do that into the feature planning, not with the teams that you are working with. So do ruthless in that way, like you prioritize your backlog ruthlessly. You must not have any biasing when you give any feature as a high priority feature or a low priority feature. But working with other teams, stakeholders, be very mindful and deal in collaboration with them, right? So that they will feel and they will help you above the board whenever it is needed. So what I basically try to do, I try to create some kind of prioritization system. I try to give values to all of these features that we have, and based upon the team discussion. So I do not take any decision alone. So I always work with the team, do a lot of brainstorming sessions with them, take their ideas, and then create the minimum lovable product as P0 launch. So if any product has say 6, 7, or 8 features, all 8 features might not be needed at the launch, right? So just check what problem areas or what problems we started fixing by launching this product. We broke those into multiple other features or sub features. Take the highest priority features first. Create your MLP. Assign all those features in the backlog as P0. Then create your P1, P2s, which you can launch later. Always remember, any product, if you are going to the market, will not be bug free, will not have all the features that you had thought about. So you must give customer a working product which does not have any visible or any specific problem that breaks their experience. Then you should be able to launch that as soon as possible. So you must make the trade-off between quality and speed, because time to market is extremely important. If you keep on developing all the features, if you keep on fixing all the problems, it might take a couple of extra years to launch the product, and by then your product might be stale in the market, right? So it's extremely important that you keep this kind of trade-off. You get sign off from the stakeholders. So this is also one of my biggest learning, that when we plan, sometimes we do not take sign off from all the stakeholders. Of course, we take sign off from the top leadership, but there are multiple other teams that I was talking about. You must take sign off on the plan. You must take sign off on the output that you will be receiving from them, the dependencies, the risks that you are planning, the mitigations, contingency, their support to you. Once you have all these sign off, then you start tracking these, right? And that's extremely important. So what I usually do, slightly old school, I always use Microsoft projects to plan my products first. It gives me the complete picture. How do we see all those Gantt chart, which is my critical path activities, which features are on critical path. Once I know that, then I try to track those activities more meticulously. It's not like I'm not tracking other activities, but those activities will affect your schedule. If something goes south, you know that your plan may go haywire, right? So I create a lot of mechanism around it, so that I can track, I communicate the status to all the stakeholders very, very frequently. Maybe during the start of the project, once in a week. That's a good enough. I have regular meetings with all the stakeholders, one-on-ones, with the critical partners, so I know what's going on there. If I need their inputs, say 3 weeks in advance, I give them heads up now that can you please tell me, this is what I need from you after 3 weeks. Where are you with respect to your plan, with respect to your status? Sometimes they are not on track. Then I basically suggest some ideas if I have. If not, I ask them if they need any support from our leadership, so that sometimes we need to escalate as well, right? It's not like during collaborative environment you do not escalate, but give them heads up that you may escalate because these things are not going as per the plan. Second, as I was talking about home team and away team, so whenever we take any activities as away team, and if assume that the effort estimate is 10 SD weeks of effort, I always add at least 50% buffer in it, because as away team you do not know all the intricacies in the system that you have taken up. So the learning cycle might be a bit more, so add some buffer there. Second, we work with a lot of folks from finance, accounting, legal, taxes, that we call it as flat structure. and their inputs are extremely important. Their sign off is even more important. So whenever any activities is dependent on them, I add at least 25 to 30% buffer, because those guys are also extremely busy with other products, other projects, other teams. So taking time from them, they also need to, they are also dependent on external factors, like sometimes external counsel if they are not aware about all the rules within a region. So add some buffer into those kind of activities. Once you do that, then you communicate and get sign off on the plan from all the relevant stakeholders. And coming back to the tracking, so all of us know that we are engineers or say MBAs, and have some kind of a student syndrome, that if we know that this activity will take 4 days to complete, we try to do at say last half of the estimated timeline, and if something goes wrong, we basically lose all the 4 days. So to solve these, tracking is even more important now. So try to break your activities into as granular as possible, maybe the leaf level possible, where you track almost daily on the items which falls on critical path that I was talking about. And hence Microsoft project helped me a lot. So I'm not trying to sell Microsoft projects, but any tool that you use, basically try to create some kind of plan, some kind of activities which can be broken down to the lowest leaf possible, and hence tracking becomes easier, and it gives you the impact if something is not going correctly in just 1 or 2 days time span, right? If you do not do regular tracking, say you do tracking once in 10 days, you may lose a lot of time, because a lot of other teams might have other priorities to work upon as well. So plan meticulously, track even more regularly, and then the most important thing is to communicate the status to all the stakeholders. So all of them are aware what's happening, and if something is not correct, flag them first. So what I specifically call it as, any bad message, any bad thing should travel the fastest, uh, and good things that have been completed, that might wait, right? But if something is not going in the direction that you had thought about, that has to travel faster, so that all the stakeholders are aware. That's first. Second, if someone can help you so that can be brought onto the green path, that's even better. So communicate the correct status to all the stakeholders on time. Seek advice, seek feedback, ask for help. Then comes about the risk management, right? We all of us know that any project that we work upon is not risk free. You know that the plan that we have created, it has some risks. So you create your risk plan well in advance. You create some kind of mitigation in it. You create some kind of contingency, because all of the risks may not be able to, you may not be able to solve all the risks that you have already planned for. So you should have contingency and fallback as well. So if plan A does not work out, what is your plan B? So those planning has to be done in advance, and keep estimating, keep visiting those risk trackers, so you are aware something is not going to impact say 3 months down the line. And again, coming back to the communication, if you feel so, please communicate this to all the stakeholders, that something is not going right, ask for help, and if somebody can help, you can bring back your product roadmap to the green path, right? So these are my learnings so far. So if I try to summarize again, build prioritization system. It's not specific to what I spoke about. Whatever you feel is important and working for you, that's fine, but you should have one prioritization system. Then you must make assumptions to quality or speed trade-off. That's extremely important. uh, get sign off from all the stakeholders, keep value to the timely launches, have some kind of risk plan in place, start communicating your status to all the stakeholders on a regular basis. Once you do that, then you basically have this vicious cycle that I call it, that plan, check, act, reprioritize, and repeat it. So let's not confuse this with Deming cycle that we have already seen multiple times. PDCA, plan, do, check, act. I've added those two, but the most important thing here is report, which I just spoke about. Reporting is extremely important. On time, on time, correct status. Do not show cozy picture to the leadership. If something is wrong, show them so that they are aware. They will help you out. Of course, they will help you out. So if I try to summarize this, you plan, get sign off, develop and test, keep monitoring, report, Then you replan, because multiple times your first plan may not work out. So there are a lot of baseline, that plan can be baseline multiple times, and hence those features are available in any planning tool. So you replan your product, you replan your feature based upon, say, first phase of development, first 2 or 3 months of development. That again take sign off. That is also very, very important, so that all the stakeholders are aware. Then again you start developing on the next plan that you have already done. Then monitor, report. You may need to do this multiple times, but that's fine. It has to be done. So once you feel that your MLP is completed, then you might have already decided about your A/B tests. How are you going to show this to the customers? Uh, and you might have already decided about the parameters that you are going to monitor during this A/B testing phase. So at Amazon, we call it as something like web lab. And the main guidelines, what we do is for 50% customers, like 50% of the customers will see the new or the next feature, or the enhanced feature that we are launching, and the 50% of the customers will see the existing one. And then we do it for at least 4 weeks, sometimes depending upon product complexity, but not less than 1 week. So arranging, so if it's a small feature and we know that this is a kind of go decision, then we do, but still we do that for about a week. But usually most of the products, the bigger products that we do, this A/B testing and web lab goes for almost 4 weeks. We analyze the result, we report the results to all the stakeholders again. Then at end of the A/B test phase, we have a go no go decision with all the stakeholders involved, where we show them how did our product is doing, how our product is doing with controlled and pre-date customers, like 50% of the customers versus 50% not, and the parameters are again judged. Then based upon the decision, sometimes we feel that we may delay this, sometimes we feel that we need to do more A/B tests, or the A/B test phase can be extended for, say, 2 or 3 more weeks. And once everything is green, we launch it. So this is the entire cycle. So entire cycle, right? I mean, we might need to do this 50 times sometimes, might need to do 20 times sometimes, depending upon the project timelines that you are working upon. You may need to do this multiple times if you're working on multiple products at any given point in time. So enjoy this journey. This is extremely important but critical for the business. So if I try to summarize the entire thing that we just discussed in one slide, or say in just 8 points that we say, identify business problems, then you create and validate hypothesis, you visualize concepts, how will it look, then you define your MLP that we just spoke about. All the features are not needed at the P0 launch. You may add P1 and P2s later on as well. Then you measure success, then you demo and do a lot of quality assurance tests so that customers have not broken experience. Then you implement solutions, basically execute designs, implement solutions, demo, and you measure success if the product that you have launched is correct or not, or it's adding more and more values to the customers or your target customers. If I try to give final tips from my side, again, based upon my experience, my journey so far, you always approach prioritization as a team activity. Try to get buy-in from all the stakeholders. They may have different perspective, and during the brainstorming sessions, you may get a lot of other points that you may not have thought about if you have done this alone, right? So it's a lot more fun if you do all these things in a team manner. Limit the number of items you are prioritizing. Sometimes you may be overwhelmed with the ideas that you may have. You may have received a lot of intakes from other teams as well if you're working in a central team environment. But focus on the biggest item first, rather than going into defining success or creating the impact, creating your success criteria for all those 100 items. It takes time, right? And we are always short on bandwidth. And finally, do not forget about cost. It's important, right? Your leadership will not agree if you have not done all these analysis before. Even if you do not know the intricacies or do not know the leaf level estimates for your products or features, at least give some kind of t-shirt sizing, like small, medium, large, based upon your experience in the past or your technical team's experience in the past. It adds a lot of value when you do that and go to the leadership for approvals. So from my side, I mean, that's it. So all the high functioning teams must prioritize, not once, not twice, but very regularly, ruthlessly, rigorously, and the keyword collaboratively. So enjoy your journey, stay safe with your friends and family, and bye. Take care.